Hello everybody, my name is Ethan Whitewine, and today I will be interviewing the head strength and conditioning coach, Luke Meredith. How are you doing today, Coach?
Good, how you doing?
Pretty good, thanks for asking. So this is your first year as the strength and conditioning coach after 6 seasons as the head basketball coach. What are you most excited to bring to the other athletes in the program?
Just to be able to have the experiences of being a head coach, knowing what it's like, being in their shoes, being a head coach of a team here at Greenfield-Central High School, and then building off of what Coach Nolting already had in place, and just bringing something a little bit different, a little bit fresh, different mindset, different attitude, different music, the body weight, focusing on, trying to get more protein and doing some other things that, Coach Nolting did an excellent job. And so when you are in charge of a strength program and you're also in charge of a football program, that makes it a lot more difficult. So for now, me being no longer the head coach and now just being in charge of the strength, all of my attention, all of my focus is to all of our athletes. And so that's something that I think is going to be a huge boost for Greenfield Central and all of our sports.
Yeah. How did your motto as a basketball coach shape your approach to the strength and conditioning part?
Well, it's just how you live your life. It doesn't really have to be about basketball per se. We always talk about Jews compete standard, but bringing that energy and effort in everything that you do, setting that standard and how you live, and kids should know if you see me Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're going to get the same. You're going to hear the same. We're going to do our 50 push-ups. We're going to do our minute plank. We're going to do our crunches. We're going to go 4x6. We're going to bump some music, but we're going to come in here and we're going to work our tail off. And so I tell them all the time, like, we're trying to have competitive greatness. We're trying to build that edge. We're trying to be tougher longer. We're trying to build that toughness. But in order to build that toughness, you have to be disciplined. You have to want to do it every day. And so that's one of those things with those kids, like stacking days. Well, you can't not work hard Wednesday and then show up on Friday in class and you don't have any days to stack. So just those things of having that mindset and how you can carry over, the weights aren't going to lift themselves, but how do you carry over that mindset of toughness and coming in here and grinding and sweating, and then bring that into athletics and working hard every day, and then bringing that into what you do on the practice court or what you do in the off season to try to make you the best version of yourself.
Yeah. Are there any specific basketball movements or things that you prioritize when designing the training program? Or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the great things that I think that we do. That it's built for basketball, yes, but it's also built for swimmers. It's also built for soccer players. It's also built for football players. And so we do a core lift. So we're focusing on 3 main cores this year, and that's bench press, clean, and squat. And so those are what's going to be tested in October and December and right before spring break and at the end of the year. But then we're also incorporating combine aspects like speed, agility, quickness. So AMRAP, as many reps as you can do, bench bar or push up, pull up, dips, body weight. And so those different types of things I think that are all going to help all of our athletes. And then having Coach Nolting in there has been great because I've been able to bounce off ideas. He's been doing it for a long time. But then being able to say, all right, we're going to split. You're going to do auxiliaries, and those kids are going to focus on, glute hams or reverse hypers. And then I'm going to take these other kids and we're going to do box jumps and ladders and med ball activities. And so those are all things, once again, if I was the boys basketball coach here, I'm Coach Ware, I would want to know that all of the things that I need to do athletically to get them prepared to build that shield of armor, to be bigger, faster, stronger, not to eliminate but to help prevent injuries, are going to be taking place either in breakfast club or taking place during the day, and I can just focus on ball at 340.
Can you explain what you guys do at the breakfast club? What are you guys working to do there?
Yeah, so it's meant to be for out-of-season athletes, and so every class here at Greenfield-Central High School, we're on block schedule, so 4 classes a day are each 90 minutes. So we meet 90 minutes before school, 0-hour breakfast club, and so I meet with a variety of off-season programs. So like, for example, on Mondays right now I have boys basketball, I have softball and baseball. On Tuesdays I have girls basketball, and I have swimming. So it's really just trying to get in here, creating a culture, doing some things, hip mobility. We did stadium runs, or we're doing a lot of speed and agility things. Just trying to put in work as a group and as a team. And so once again, I'm out of season. I am a head coach. I would love to have somebody else getting on them, hearing the things that they need to do, getting their 8 to 10 hours of sleep, making sure they stay hydrated, making sure they're getting their protein and all those things from someone else that's not me as the head coach. And then they're getting the building toughness, waking up early, sweating in the morning and feeling like they've accomplished something. It's not something that we're going to do in our regular class, so I don't ask, Izzy Silcox, who's a girls basketball player, to back squat in breakfast club and then back squat in block 2. So we don't do a whole lot of weight training right now, but it'd be a lot of speed and agility things to really try to build toughness and get them bigger, faster, stronger as they get ready to prepare for their seasons.
How are you going to incorporate sport-specific conditioning with the general strength development?
Yep, and it's been great me being able to communicate with a lot of the head coaches, trying to meet with the volleyball coach, trying to meet with the new wrestling coach, trying to meet with, the baseball coach and different things about what they do. Like for example, I just talked to Mr. Felver and I said, hey coach, what are some things that you want to make sure that the swimmers do? And he's big on, these sets and drills. And I'm saying, well, what about this? And we're working together. Coach Gibson in here working on bands and getting agility things with their arms and also incorporating them being able to throw before we get in the workout. So it's really just accommodating to all of them. I don't claim to be the know-all be-all. I'm not in here with a giant background in exercise science, but I am here to get the kids to be at peak performance on game night. And so just being able to work with those different coaches and come up with different specialized plans for each individual kid that works for them. So once again, they're ready to go when the lights come on.
Working with different sports programs, how are you going to differentiate the training? Like, for example, swimmer and baseball, are there different lifts that you'll have the swimmers do that you won't for the baseball players?
Yeah, the cores are non-negotiable. Every single athlete in here, every kid in strength class is going to back squat, they're going to clean. We had a huge emphasis on clean this year. We're going to do it at least twice a week, and then bench press. And then that's when you can start to differentiate and say, all right, game night here, baseball players here, soccer players here, and they can work on different things with bands or agility or things that they do amongst their individual program that's better for them. Like baseball players, arms, shoulders, that's something that they need to put a bigger emphasis on. Yeah. Whereas swimmers, they're not going to be huge on bench press, so they're going to work on other things to build their core to be able to do the things they need to do. Once again, ultimate goal, build toughness to be at peak performance as their head coach, all of their athletes ready to go when it's game night.
How do you keep up with the current training methods, and how do you incorporate them into your own workouts?
That's something that's been a great challenge for me. I attacked being a boys basketball coach for 19 years and the last 6 years at Greenfield-Central, but then being able to take some things that I knew and I did as a head coach, and then being able to, I went to Avon High School, I went to Mooresville High School and been picking brains of new strength coaches. So this is a whole new world for me of just trying to figure out like what works for different sports and different teams and different coaches and other head coaches, and just diving head first into this, kind of like the way I live my life, that juice, compete, standard. Like, I want to be great at this. So I don't want to just be an average strength and conditioning coach. I want all of the kids to be great. I want them to believe in me. I want them to believe in the program. And so that's been a great transition for me of just it's a whole new adventure and something that I'm ready to tackle on.
What is some advice that you would give athletes to maintain consistency and motivation throughout their sports that they do?
It's the same thing I told my boys basketball players, same thing I tell my own children. Like, everybody wants to be great till it's time to do what greatness requires, right? And so everybody wants to be great. Every team wants to win, when the ball's tipped off, when the kickoff happens, when they're getting ready to start their match. Like, your parents are here, the lights are on. Everybody wants to be great at that point. But what are you willing to do beforehand in order to get to that point, right? Are you willing to wake up at 6:30? The alarm clock goes off. Does your passion wake you up, or do you hit snooze? Like, are you willing to get your 8 to 10 hours of sleep, or are you on Snapchat till 2 a.m.? Are you willing to make sure you're hydrated 2 or 3 days before the actual event, so you're not cramping up and trying to get a mustard packet and all of a sudden trying to fix that? Are you willing to eat your 50 to 60 grams of protein and do the things that are required, that are discipline? Like, that discipline, and we talked about earlier, like, what does it take to be a great athlete? Like, that's also what it takes to be a good student, being disciplined. That's also what it takes to be a good person. Like, you could choose to eat an Oreo Blizzard, or you could choose to have a muscle milk. Like, those are the different types of things, and those choices are ultimately going to dictate who you become, what type of player you are, what type of athlete you are, what type of person you are. So just really trying to utilize the same skills as a boys basketball player in my program. Like, these are the things that are required in order for you to be great in basketball, in life. Okay, now let's transition this into the weight room. These are the things that are required for you to get bigger, faster, stronger. The weights aren't gonna lift themselves. Being able to make sure that you're at peak performance for what you need to do. Trying to build that sheet of armor so that you work closely with the athletic trainers and the things that we need to do. Listening to your coach, showing up every time, being a leader. Like, those are the things that are gonna help you, get a better job. Those are the things that are gonna help you when you get in college and they get hard. Those are the things that are gonna make you a better father, a better mother. So, like, all of those things, yeah, that was me as a basketball coach, but still the same deal as me as the strength coach.
What made you pursue the head strength coach? I know, like you said, you were the head coach for basketball. What made you go away from basketball and go into the strength?
Yep, I gave boys basketball program here everything that I had, and I think it was time for someone else to give it a shot. And I'm excited and humbled to have Coach Ware. I think he's going to do a great job. He's off to a great start. But for me, I love Greenfield-Central. I love this town. I want my kids to graduate here. I was ready to step into a new position, but I wasn't ready to leave the school because I love this place. I love the community. I love the people. Blue collar, show up every day and work hard. And so I think my family fits here, I fit here, and so I wouldn't have it any other way. And I'm glad that Mr. Manning and Mr. Walbaum and everybody that had a part of me being able to transition into this gave me this opportunity.
How are you going to handle players that are injured, like during their sports, they get injured? Do you have any specific program that they can do while they're injured?
Well, that's a great thing, being able to work. We have great athletic trainers here in Brandon and Bray, but working closely with them on what they can do, what they can't do. They give them some PT, and we've been able to differentiate kids like, hey, I can't put the bar on my back because I have some type of back injury. So being able to then incorporate like goblet squats with a dumbbell, or being able to incorporate dumbbell lunges and those different types of things, are just learning and figuring out what works for them, and trying to work closely with the athletic trainers has been something that's a huge piece.
In your personal opinion, what lift do you think is best for overall strength? Like, what do you think will build the most muscle?
I'm a big body weight person. I feel like if you back squat every day, 7 days a week, you're probably going to get injured over overuse. But you could do 50 lunges every day. You could do 50 push-ups every day. You could try to knock out as many dips, AMRAPs as you could do. So I'm a big body weight guy. So we've really tried to transition body weight things, and then how is that also going to make you physically stronger. So one of the things that's a big focus for me is I do 50 push-ups every day. I do right before I go to bed, but I've been doing them with each class. And so then I think that as a young man or a young woman, you start doing, and maybe you can only do 20 AMRAP, 20 in a row, or maybe then you build it up to Sonia, who just recently did 65 push-ups. That's the most in the school as a girl. That's impressive. Or Tristan Lane, I'm looking up here at the board, he completed 105 push-ups AMRAP. That's impressive, right? But then you start to do these at whatever level you are, whatever athleticism you are, you're a freshman, or you're a varsity player, or you're a college athlete, like you're going to start to do these things, and then those days are going to stack, as we talk about stacking days. So you build up to, you're now doing 50 push-ups a day, and then you can start to tell, your pecs and your biceps and your triceps, and you physically look better with your shirt off. You look cut, and then you're going to start to notice you're stronger. Then you're going to start to notice you're more athletic, and then you're going to start to play with confidence, and then you have what the kids call aura. And so when you have that aura and you play with that confidence, and then it's like game night once again, I'm at my best because I was disciplined, because I did those things required. So now when the ball tips, it's harder for me to give up because I know how much I have invested, and it's just overall like you feel better about yourself, you have more of a confidence amongst yourself. So I do a lot of body weight stuff, and then that's ultimately going to get you to, a lot of kids, I think they come in here and they're intimidated. They see, a big football player, a big basketball player, somebody that's been in here a couple of years, and they're yoked, and they're a scrawny freshman, and they might not know any better. But how do you get to that when they're, these guys are bench pressing 275 pounds, and you're barely getting the bar? But let's start with body weight. Let's build that up, and then by the time you are a junior or senior, let's get 2 plates on there and get you to get 225. So all of those things are directly connected for a kid in all versions of kids, right? Sometimes it's easier. Sometimes they have that genetic, like they're just given this, God-given. But our goal, I think, as a strength and conditioning group, and my purpose is to get them to their genetic maximum. You were given this. How do we get you to your max?
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for coming out and answering some of my questions.
Thanks for having me.